As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Shirt. I'm wearing the wrong color shirt for a green screen. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime. We're going to go over Kada's case. Now, I will tell you, for all intents and purposes and in full transparency, she hasn't been positively identified. Law enforcement won't do that until after she goes and has an autopsy and is determined to be Kada from the, the examiner, the medical examiner, the coroner, whatever, what have you. I just wanted to let you know I am back from Delilah's, play date. We went shopping, and we stopped by this place called Detweiler's, and it's like this country type of, they're really cool. And they make their stuff all from, like, scratch, and they sell it to you, and it's really, really stinking good. Overpriced, stinking good, worth every penny of it. Delicious. Anyways, that's the highlight of my day. So let's get down to it. So as I come home, I get a notification that remains have been found. And I'm like, okay, we knew this. We kind of, this is not really going to be a shock to all of us that it's Kada. Because we know young children, I keep calling her young children. She's 23 years old. She's an adult. She's not a kid. But I'm 46 years old. She's half my age. She's a freaking baby to me, okay? So this young lady, we're very, very confused on how this guy got a hold of her. Like, based upon the video evidence that we see, like, I feel like he went inside her work and yoked her out. But I don't think that has been identified yet. We don't know if she walked out to him or not. Long story short, Keon King is in jail right now and charged with her kidnapping. And we knew that he was found, the car was found, she wasn't found, okay? Phone dumpage at a middle school, an abandoned middle school. This is why it's so horrible for these counties to have abandoned buildings. There are so many uses for abandoned buildings that will keep, shenanigans down to an all-time low. It sounds like she was back there in a shallow grave. I'm saying her as being Kada, even though she hasn't been positively identified by law enforcement. Oh, thank you, Melanie. Bless you for that. I appreciate it. So I want to open this up. We got a few things here. I think I kind of opened it up wrong. I think this is where I really wanted to open it up. As you guys see, the body bag is there. That is presumably her, okay? I believe she went back to her car for something, like someone called into the main number, to say lights were left on. It's possible. I didn't believe that at first, but anything's possible at this moment. But based on the fact that he tried to break into another woman's house to abduct her, I feel like, maybe he did something that coaxed her out, or he said he was going to, like, if you don't come out here, then I'm just going to drive the car through the freaking front door. Just come out here. Something like that. Something ridiculous. But anyways, that's just all hyperbole. We don't know what happened. We know that he got his hands on her. We don't know how at this moment. And, he obviously killed her. He murdered her. And he buried her. That's what we know right now. We don't know the manner. We know where. We don't even really know why. Law enforcement has kind of withheld that from us as to why this all happened. I heard she walked out of her work, but nobody knows why or how he lured her. I have a feeling law enforcement knows, because I have a funny feeling, based upon them, they knew they were texting. What kind of upsets me about this case is that they didn't give, like, I expect them to withhold some stuff, I expect them to withhold some stuff. But the level of what they withheld from the public was crazy. I think we could have closed this case a lot sooner, and I think we could have found Kada without all of this. But I digress. They were out there. They've been out there with the cadets. The cadets have been helping them do, search and rescue type of missions, looking for evidence and stuff like that, which they did find a bank card, a cell phone cover, and some other items that did belong to Kada out there in that area. I believe they were at a middle school. They're saying this is an abandoned elementary school. I'm kind of shocked. I don't know how many abandoned schools they actually have in this area, but it sounds like this area has a few abandoned schools. It might just be one, but I could have sworn they said it was an a middle school in earlier reportings. Now they're saying that she was found behind an abandoned elementary school. So it might be the same school that they've been looking at. It might be one that's close by. It's in the same area regardless, because they keep talking about the arboretum, or whatever, however you pronounce that name. I can always screw that up. But long story short is they were looking in this area, and the community was looking in this area. They had, I think there was like a reward out, so I think I think people kind of got more involved. People do get involved when there's a reward, but some people, especially her being a young black woman in an area that represents young black women and that love young black women, and I think they're empowered, and so I think a lot of people came out. I think there were a lot of searchers out there, not just family, but I think she reminded a lot of people of their family. Like the press conference from yesterday, where the older man was talking. I didn't catch his name. He was a DA, and he kind of just wanted to clear the air because they realized they had made some mistakes in not prosecuting this guy, and own it. And I'm very appreciative that they handled that situation the way that he did. Hey, Alicia, it's nice to see you. The way that he did, I really do appreciate it. And them finding Kada we knew the day was coming. We know that this is going to be hard for the family, and even if the family was prepared, nothing prepares you for it. We know that because we've seen this so many times, and it's sad to see, and to think of that poor mother. That poor mother. I mean, the fathers, yes, I understand, but the mothers, it always just breaks my heart, because moms carry the baby for 9 months, and this woman carried her daughter for 9 months, raised her well. It sounded like she stayed out of all the shenanigans, and it sounds like there were shenanigans going on around where she lived, and she was able to stay away from all of that, go to Penn State, be in pageants, and do things. She wasn't ready yet. She had a lot to give this world, and it was once again snuffed out by a punk that should have been in jail. And it's hard. Hey, Shadow, Candace, it's nice to see you. Jaguar, it's nice to see you. It's hard. Did I say hi to you, Linda? Aura, hi, hey. You know, gotta get some prayers for my son. I had to put my pup. Oh no! Oh, oh, I want to cry for you. Animals, children, those are the hardest. I'm sorry, but children are very, very hard, especially for moms because you give birth to them. But fur babies, they were just like Delilah and I, we gal palette all day. I would literally. She's only been in my life for a little over a year, about a year and a half. Has it been a year? Yeah, about a year and a half this month. She's been, she's been with me, and it's like I don't know what I would do without her. I really don't. And I'm so sorry to hear that. So Alicia had to put her dog down. We're having a family here that has their daughter. Obviously there's a body bag on the screen here, and this is a young 23-year-old woman that had a lot to give the world. And it seems like the undertone is a conversation about domestic battery. Once again, and if you guys don't know where I come from, where Bullhorn Betty's name came from, where we came into true crime was Gabby Petito. Gabby Petito, another domestic violence case. And so domestic violence is really a battle cry for this channel, but because we cover so many cases, we have just violence. We're just anti-violence, right? We want violence to end. We want different for our future. We want different for our neighbors' future. We want to end this violence that's going on, and a lot of it has to do with matters of the heart. And this might have been matters. We don't know the true extent of what is going on. We just know Kada. This is most likely Kada. I'm going to put my go ahead and put my seal on it that this is Kada. There's a few reasons why I'm going to go ahead and call it, and it's because she's been missing for a significant amount of time. This was the area that they were. Thank you, Ashley. This JH. It's nice to see you. Cinderella, Jerry Lynn, Dreaming Blue Skies. Nice to see you, love. But this is the area that they were searching for her. There was somebody that called in a tip with very, very specific instructions of where to find her, and they followed up on that lead, the very, very specific leads, and they found a shallow grave, and then they realized it was a young lady in that shallow grave. So I know that it's not official. We're not going to say it's an official ruling that it's her. But I just don't see where it could be anybody else. So we've got Kada. Kada's going home to her family. We're thankful for that. We're not thankful for the situation that we are in, but we are thankful that this is one where our family gets to bury their loved one. We have so many cases that we are covering where our families are still searching for their loved ones. I can literally rattle names off the head. Layla Santinello, Holland Snaps, Sebastian Rogers, Summer Wells, Michael Monkey Vaughn. Literally the list goes on and on and on of our missing babies, adults and underage, but our missing babies all over this country. And there are so many that are waiting years and years and years to have this day. I'm very thankful that her family, at minimum, gets closure, and I pray that we can pray for strength for all these families that are struggling. And this being right before the holidays, folks. I mean, me and my best friend today were buying pumpkins and fixing up her house for Halloween. That's what people are doing with her time. My best friend has her birthday next week. Um, it's hard to think that we're all going to be preparing for holidays, and they're preparing to bury their loved one. Not only their loved one, their baby. Their baby. I guarantee she was the light of this family. I guarantee she was the one that was always spunky, the one that everybody idolized. You know, she was beautiful. She was gorgeous. She had her head on right. She knew what she was, where she was going in life. You know, it just, that at least that's what it seems like to me from an outsider looking in. And I guarantee we're going to hear some stories just like that. And it's sad because this animal snuffed her life out. This is why it's so important. I hate getting on these talking points, folks, but it's hard not to, because you see a problem and you just want everybody else to see the problem you see. And right now, the problem I see is that these people that should be in jail are being let out. And they're being let out all over all over the country, but they're not being let out from states like Florida. They're not being let out from states like Texas. They're being let out from states like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, you know, areas of Illinois, Oregon, California. I mean, you know, it's getting to the point where all we can do is just look helplessly and just be prepared to talk about the other case. But when are we going to really start? When are the people out there that are watching these things going to start wisening up and realizing we don't have to live like this? And we don't have to take everybody's guns away to live in harmony. Anyways, I'm done. I'm going to get off my soapbox. We need to go ahead and get to this. Now, there is some freezing up. I tried to find NBC 10 because you can see that they're here right here. But it does freeze up a little bit. So there's a section of this press conference that I'm going to have to scroll through. You can't understand a damn thing. So, and it sounded like it was important questions and stuff that we would have liked, you know, would have liked to have heard as well. But we weren't there on the ground, and this was a live feed. So when it messed up, it messed up. There's going to be a clearer feed coming out because you see all these news cameras. I've just got to try to find them, because let me see if ABC 6 has theirs. Hold on. Let me pull this back real quick and let me see if I can get ABC 6. They might have a clean copy that doesn't freeze, because the one thing about the Fox copy is they were going live. So let's do YouTube. Which one is this? This is ABC 6. Let's see what we got for ABC 6. Philadelphia. There we go. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we got the press conference. Let's see if this one sounds better. This is from a different angle. I think I'm going to use this one. I think this one's going to, we'll play it, and then we'll discuss. There it goes. Yeah, I think I like that one a little bit better. I think I like that just a tad bit better. All right, let's get this rolling.
Just want to give you an update on.
You guys can hear that fine?
Regarding 23-year-old Kada Scott, who went missing on October 4th. A little bit of a somber and grateful moment here right now.
Okay, good.
Based on tips that have come in over the past few days, as we called on earlier this week, asking for the public to provide any information, any tips, and the public has been fantastic in providing tips and information, and we greatly appreciate that. But based on a tip that came in last night through the night, investigators began the process of following up on that tip this morning, starting around 10 o'clock this morning, following up on that tip. And the tip was very specific that led us back to this location here today, which you all know we were out here earlier in the week doing a little bit of a search. And so based on the investigative information, based on the investigation and what they were following up on that tip today, led us back to this area behind the school, where it's a wooded area. I don't know if any of you have been back there, but it's a wooded area.
You guys can't hear him? It's a bit low?
School.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me see.
So
Let me see if I can turn up. I don't know if I can turn it up because it sounds like it's just low. I think it has to do. I mean, it's got. I'm worried about this. Let me just see. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can turn this up any. This is output volume. Speakers. Okay, I can turn it up a little bit, but that's going to be about it. Let's see if this helps. Otherwise, you guys are probably going to have to use your own volumes.
Begin to go back into that area where we will locate a shallow grave after being able to remove some of the debris back there, able to locate the body of a human being. All indications at this point is that it's a female. We are not going to confirm at this point that it is Miss Kada Scott, because that has to be done by the medical examiner's office.
So you guys understand that if you can barely hear whatever, they're basically saying that they received a tip in late last night. They got it this morning in about around 10 a.m. The officer went out to follow up on that lead, this very, very specific lead. And when they got out there after moving some debris, they found a shallow grave, and so they called it in. It ultimately ended up being the remains of what appeared to be a female.
But we have been in communication with her family as to this process and the fact that we have recovered a human being. And so at this point, it's still a lot of work to be done. I'll be very candid that we can't answer but so many questions. We're not going to get into the investigation at this point because we want to make sure that all of the pieces to this are done correctly and that we don't put out information ahead of time because we want the people and the person that we have in custody and anybody else that may be involved in this, we want them held accountable.
Oh, that sounds good.
To the highest degree of the law for what they have done. And so I just want that to be clear as to why we will not get into specific details. And so that's where we're at this point. Still a lot of work, but I must say a lot of work has been done around this case. As you know, we've been searching, have done multiple searches. We shut down the police academy. That was a decision made by myself and Commissioner Bethel to shut down the police academy over a week ago, where we brought out the entire group of recruits to comb through this area. Again, so I know, listen,
we'll listen to it again on the other recording.
And completely understand that this is a lot on our investigators, a lot on all of us, because again, we all have family members. And this could have been any one of our family members. It could be anybody's family member, and that's understood. And that's the reason that you see that the tireless work has been done by starting with Northwest Detectives, and then by homicide, by our partners through the FBI, through our forensics office, through any and everybody that has been a part of this process, because we wanted to bring some level of closure to this family. And so, again, we're going to wait until we have official confirmation on, as the medical examiner is going to do their process, and then we will bring that confirmation. But that's where we are right now. Again, I can't reiterate enough how much we appreciate, tips and information that are coming from the public. I
think the reason why you guys are having a hard time hearing it is because there's a plane or a helicopter above the scene, probably capturing all those photos that we see, of the remains in a bag. And it's drowning out. But I do have this one. It's much louder. It's much better.
Last night through the night, investigate.
But it freezes. So let me just get back here and let's see if we can get this.
A lot of work has been done around.
Oh, sorry.
We've been searching, have done multiple searches. We shut down the police academy. That was a decision made by myself and Commissioner Bethel to shut down the police academy over a week ago, where we brought out the entire group of recruits to comb through this area. Again, so I know, listen, no one is happy that this is the ending, and completely understand that this is a lot on our investigators, a lot on all of us, because again, we all have family members, and this could have been any one of our family members. It could be anybody's family member, and that's understood, and that's the reason that you see the tireless work that's been done by starting with Northwest Detectives, and then by homicide, by our partners through the FBI, through our forensics office, through any and everybody that has been a part of this process, because we wanted to bring some level of closure to this family. And so, again, we're going to wait until we have official confirmation on, as the medical examiner is going to do their process, and then we will bring that confirmation. But that's where we are right now. Again, I can't reiterate enough how much we appreciate, tips and information that have come in from the public. I still will urge the public that if you have any information, anything that you think is related to this, continue to give us that information via 215-686-TIPS. Still continue to give us that information, because again, we don't know if there are other individuals that have been a victim of this individual that we have in custody. And so I just want that to be clear, that please continue to provide that information if you have.
Does anybody know if there's other type of homicides in that area? In a 2-mile area from her house where he was slinging, substances on the corner?
Have anything, but that's where we are at this point. I would also ask you to continue to pray for Ms. Scott's family.
What's the process of getting that official confirmation on whether it's her or not?
Well, at this point now, we're on the medical examiner's timeline, and so they will, the body will be recovered and transported to the medical examiner's office, and then they will go through their.
This is where it freezes up. Let's see if we can find. That's at 4:16. Let's see if we can go over here and listen to it. So should be right about here.
That please continue to provide that information if you have anything. But that's where we are at this point. I would also ask you to continue to pray for Ms. Scott's family.
What's the process of getting that official confirmation?
What's the process of getting that official confirmation?
Well, at this point
back?
now, we're on the medical examiner's timeline.
They're on their medical examiner's timeline.
The body will be recovered and transported to the medical examiner's office, and then they will go through their process methodically to ensure that, again, everything is done right. There's a court case that has to come behind this, and that's what I just want to be clear. I know sometimes it seems like the information is not coming fast enough, but we have a job to Ms. Scott. We have a job to her family. Again, if this is confirmed that this is her, to ensure that we are doing everything in the proper way to make sure that the individuals are held accountable.
Okay, so now we'll go back. I think we're through the bad part. So now we'll go back here and listen to that. Oh, maybe not.
Understand that it's not an easy process.
Yeah.
And when you.
It'll come back on now.
It
does this for
a lot of wooded area, and so we're grateful today that we're here. Make no mistake about it, if we had located the body yesterday, this in terms of this discovery would not. This person has been deceased for a few days, and so for some time. I'm not going to say how many days, but this didn't just happen yesterday, and so we did a lot of work. And again, I'm proud of the men and women in this organization that have been doing the work to try to locate Ms. Scott. And again, in our minds, we know this was a possible reality, and here we are, unfortunately.
Does the timeline match up?
There's a timeline of what?
In terms of when she went missing and how long it looks like that grave
as I
has
said,
been around?
I am not going to get into any of the investigative process because I don't want to mess up this case. And I don't want anyone picking apart what we say and trying to create a defense. I want to make sure that we do our jobs in the most diligent way. We give the district attorney's office an opportunity to do their job.
So now you kind of understand why they keep a lot of this stuff close to the vet. Hey, Army vet, Kentucky Life, Cass, it's nice to see you. Emma, good evening. But this is why they keep this stuff so close to the chest. You guys just heard him. He said the part out loud because he doesn't want defense attorneys being able to go ahead and create the defense before they have the evidence. So they've got to be careful what they say because, this, until it goes to trial, They're still wanting the defendant to own up to all of this. They want him to go ahead and plead guilty and take ownership of what he done so they can get moved on. There's this Philadelphia. They've got a lot of a lot of crime there that they would rather be dealing with than this. They want to have this man put behind bars and justice to be served. It sounds to me like everybody in this community is focused on the same thing, which is great. We love hearing that, right? That means that this young lady will truly get justice. It's just sad because this, again, should never have happened. This guy should have been in jail. I feel like a flippin' broken record. He should have been in jail. He should have been in jail. Once again, another case when the suspect should have been in jail. This is where the crime would never even have happened if he was just in jail. Jake Harrow, another prime example of a bastard that should have been in jail.
In the most diligent way, and that we get a prosecution on this incident here. And so I'm not going to get into any parts of the investigation, not out of disrespect, but just simply because I want to make sure that the person we have in custody and anybody else that was involved in this, that they are held accountable the way that they should be. And so that's why I'm not getting into the specifics of the case.
It does sound to me, just from everything that I'm hearing, it does sound he did act alone. It sounds like we're going to find out that he made some utterances. He said some things to some people, probably even spilt the beans to somebody. It sounds like there were several people close to Keon King that came forward, and even though they're not saying who those people are, it sounds like that people had a heart and actually helped the family, worked with law enforcement to bring Kada Scott justice. It sounded like this was a lot of people and a lot of working parts, because let's face it, out there in some of these streets, it's different than our streets. They don't talk to police. They don't cooperate with police. They have vigilante justice. They take care of themselves. They don't want law enforcement. If there's a deal going on and somebody did something wrong, they usually take care of it. But it sounds to me like Kada Scott was an amazing young lady. It sounds like she wasn't into even smoking the weed, It doesn't even sound like she was into any of that. Just sounds like she was just a bright young lady that just wanted so much out of the world. It's just unfair. It's just unfair. All the scrubs out there in those streets, and it's her, it's just unfair. It's just unfair.
Specific tip that came in, could you get into more detail about what was specific about it? Is it in location, and was it from a community member?
I won't get into the specifics. It was an anonymous tip that came in through our tip line, as we have been asking for.
Anonymous tip.
But it was very specific as to detailing us and directing us to a specific location in the wooded area, going back to your question, a very specific location that narrowed it down. Don't know who the tip is from, but grateful that the individual submitted the tip that brought us back here to
I also wanted to remind you there are a lot of anonymous tips, believe it or not, that come from our alphabet soup of the United States. And they call them in as anonymous tips so they don't want to be brought into the case. They don't want to have to explain to a court hearing how they were able to locate. We've seen it before, so I'm just throwing it out there. There are, like the FBI. We've heard it in Alec Murdaugh. We've heard it in other cases where they've called in a tip. I think that Brian Koberger would be a prime example, not Alec Murdaugh. Brian Koberger, because it was the FBI that called in the DNA tip, right? Because they did genetic genealogy. They didn't really want it coming into the court case. So they were treating it as the FBI's tip, but, Koberger's defense team's like, wait a minute, the FBI needs to send that stuff, tell us how they got this. Hey, Sandwich, it's nice to see you. Shadow, it's nice to see you. Karen, hello. So we've seen that, and I keep wondering because they're like, we don't know where this tip came from. It's an anonymous tip, and usually, prior to me being in true crime, I would just naturally assume that some normal Joe called it in. But now, after doing this for 5 years, I know a little tricks of the trade to keep some of these alphabet soups out of the courthouse. And how they do it is they call in the lead. They're doing their own independent investigation outside of law enforcement, and they've got the clearance to do certain things. Next thing you know, bada bing, bada boom, you got a freaking lead going in. You don't know where it came from, but you went and go and check, and lo and behold, there you've got it. Now, it could have been somebody out there, maybe his BFF, that doesn't want to know, the world to know that they snitched. There could be a lot of things, but trust me, once upon a time, I would have never thought that an anonymous tip would be law enforcement, because you would naturally think law enforcement will work together. Well, I also found out that federal agents don't like being in court, and they definitely don't like publicly stating for the record that anybody can read, their secrets. And let's face it, alphabet soup of our federal government, they work in very, they don't want the world knowing how they work. They don't want the world knowing what they do. And so this is how they're able to protect themselves. I never knew that until the Brian Koberger case. I never knew that. But they surely did protect that DNA, that genetic genealogy. That was a lead, that was a tip. They kept saying tip that came in from the FBI, and that was from the genetic genealogy, and that's because they wanted to keep that stuff out. And they didn't want to be involved with having to explain it. Now, I'm starting to see every year that we do this, we learn. We are never not learning. We're always learning new stuff doing the work that we do here. But again, I went on a tangent that probably didn't need to be gone through, but I really do believe that there might have been a little extra help than maybe somebody close to the case. But, it could have been somebody close to the case.
To this location this morning.
Just last question. Forget the cursing and the yelling at you guys. It just shows that there's passion behind
somebody
this.
was cursing and
What do you want to
yelling.
say about the passion of the community? They were out here, as you know, last night searching as well. Just your thoughts on just the community's involvement in this case.
Listen, I am not offended by the passion that some of the remarks that have been made as we.
That's why I tell you, and this comes to law enforcement. This seems like I'm sure it does bother them. Nobody likes to be yelled at. Let's be honest. But when you're in when you're a civil servant and you're doing your civic duty, believe it or not, whether it's okay or not, I don't believe that our public servants should be verbally accosted or abused. It's just my personal opinion. Have I been nasty to somebody on a bad day? Of course I have. Have you? Probably so, right? So we're not the best people, but we try each and every day. I will tell you that our public servants should still not lose their shit whenever somebody else is. We hope that our public servants are trained to deal, right? And to deal with a smile on their face. It sucks. I get it. It sucks. Nobody should be talked to like that. Nobody should be treated like that. But when you're dealing with stuff like this is very emotional. You guys see what we go through, and it's not, we get emotional with this stuff too. But it's not near as raw emotion as families or friends of these people, or you thinking law enforcement isn't doing it, or you blaming, because I gotta think that, with this guy supposed to be in jail and their loved one, they're going to have to be burying their loved one before Christmas. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of hot feelings going on here. Okay? And I'm pretty sure that somebody that is seasoned as this man here understands that. And this is probably not the first time, nor will it be the last time. And good public servants, good civil servants understand that and have sympathy. And it sounds like he understands. He's not offended by the way that they're acting. And it just shows a level of professionalism from law enforcement is basically what I'm trying to say here. It shows that he's a good officer.
We're walking back. I'm not offended at all, because that's people's emotion. And this is an emotional situation, and so it's to be understood.
Yeah.
However, I know what we have done, and the amount of hours that have been put into this process of trying to locate Ms. Scott. I know the work that has been done to bring the individual in the custody that we have in custody, and I know the work that these investigators will continue to do to ensure that we wrap this case up and that we do everything to hold the people accountable in the proper way.
But you know what? This is where it comes down to, Army vet, though. I'm sorry. It just kind of comes down to the fact of why I get frustrated when they withhold information from social media. Like, we are very powerful. We have the good news is at least we try to do do good things, right? Thank God we're not the ones that want to do bad with the internet, right? But I really wish that they would have, because this is where social media excels. If this area was flagged, then we would have had people there, period. We would have had people there. We would have found her. That's what upsets me. You know, like, even with this case, like, I had a hard time finding her social media. I had a hard time finding out if she had any type of, boyfriends or, love history or, something like that. Because let's face it, 9 times out of 10, at least on this channel, the crime we cover, it's usually domestic related. It's somebody that they know. It's either a mom, a dad, a boyfriend, a significant other. It's always somebody that they know. So we always look at who this child was. I keep saying child. This young woman was around, and even then we couldn't get a straight answer. And it wasn't until after, Keon was arrested that we even knew she went on a date with another man. It's like, if we just had a little tidbit of information, we would have put the pieces all together, and we would have said, okay, this is an area that we need to get people out. We would have had a search party out there, and I'm sure that the locals did the same thing, but, it's a lot different having 20 people as opposed to having 100 people. But the problem is law enforcement doesn't want you out there, because if you send people out there, you're contaminating the crime scene. It causes other problems, and we get it. We understand. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's a double-edged sword, because if you don't ask for the public help, then you could lose time, valuable time, on finding the subject. And if you keep it close to your chest, so you have time, so people aren't contaminating crime scenes and stuff like that, then there's the possibility of you never finding the person, right? Because you need those bodies to help you. It's just a quagmire. I mean, it just seems like it's a quagmire. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you wanted to help somebody and you got 100 people out there and you found something, well, you just contaminated the crime scene, right? So it's just a damned if you do and a damned if you don't. But I'm on the side of bringing the person home. If it contaminates the crime scene, by God, it contaminates the crime scene. Okay, I'd rather have the person home, and them have to, do extra work, than them not include people and take years to find or locate the person. That's just the way I look at it. I could be looking at it the wrong way. Maybe I am looking at it the wrong way, but that's just I'm always about bringing the person home, right? Above all else, they've got to come home to their family, and if that means a contaminated crime scene, I don't care. That's for law enforcement, right? That's their problem, not my problem. My problem is bringing people home. We want to bring as many people home. We don't really care how we get them home, just as long as they get home. Law enforcement, on the other hand, has the task of preparing cases and handing that over to DAs, so their needs are much different than my needs, right? And sometimes our needs are polar opposite of one another, so it does cause tension. But we would have had a lot of people out there looking for her. We could have brought her home sooner, and that's what I said earlier.
And so,
and I truly believe that.
Listen, we can't be upset at that. I mean, that's emotion. If that was my family member, or if I was someone I knew, I would have the same level of emotion. And listen, to be quite frank about it, the reason I go through the steps of what we have done is because not every community member, they don't know that we shut down the police academy to bring 300 recruits up here to go searching through an area. They don't know that. They don't know that We had teams of dogs.
And we talked about that, folks. We talked about just because they have all those people out there, even the dogs, even the helicopters. We told you, you get out there in some of these areas that have, a lot of foliage and a lot of forestry. You're not getting your radars from those helicopters down in that area. There's so much sense down there from different things being killed and everything. It does alter and the environmental conditions can affect the dogs, and we've seen it before in other cases. It's not a guarantee. So just because they brought their whole entire it's unfortunate, but yelling at law enforcement, which again, you get emotional sometimes, and you lose it, and I understand that, but they're trying their hardest to find this. You gotta remember, these people, this chief and the investigators on this case, they're not hanging out with Keon King. They don't know who this guy is. They probably, there might be some officers that know, that have arrested him or whatever, but these people don't know who he is or where he goes. They probably didn't even know Kada until Kada's name came across their desk. They don't know anything about this woman. And they're tasked with going and finding out all this information from people they don't know, literally from scratch, from the ground up, building a case, finding out who they are, where they go, what their life like. You're talking about a lot of investigative background information that you need to acquire before you even start investigating. They're really starting from the ground up, and yeah, it sounds like Army vet says that that this was an area that was identified but wasn't thoroughly checked, and maybe somebody got a little hot under the collar about this because they feel like it should have been solved a few days ago. You're screaming to the choir here, because I said the same exact thing. Law enforcement do make mistakes, and they make strategic and tactical mistakes, and they're human. But I feel like if they would have just brought in or trusted the public a little bit more, we could have closed this case a little bit sooner. The case isn't closed, but we could have had people behind bars and people found, I feel like, days sooner. We don't know that to be fact. We can't say that for 100%, because we weren't provided the opportunity. It's just a feeling, that I feel like if we had a little more information going into this case, I feel like we could have helped a lot more. But in all fairness, we're right now at day 14. She's coming home, folks. Okay, she's coming home. It doesn't matter who reported her or who called in the tip. She's coming home. We've got so many families out there right now that don't get this opportunity. They are still waiting to find their loved one. So we have to still remember the importance of today. It didn't have to turn out this way with all the anger and animosity or whatever. Her parents could be waiting for years to find out what happened to their daughter. They waited 14 days. There are so many of our victims' families that are still waiting for answers years later. So, as heartbreaking as this is, I'm glad that they do not have to continuously suffer every single day for years. They get to know what happened to their daughter. They get to put her to rest. And they get to try to have some semblance of a life and some semblance of closure. Many of my families that I cover, they're trapped. They're trapped in despair. They're trapped in an unknown. So let's not look past this amazing day. This is a good day of sadness, because it could still be we could still be looking for. There could still be a lot of unanswered questions. And you know what? Now Keon can really, really be held accountable for what he did, not just for the kidnapping, but for everything else. I believe he hurt her. I believe he AR'd her. I think we're going to find out assaulted, and we're going to find out that she was probably ultimately strangled, because that's what he did to the other victim that survived back in January. He strangled her. And so after assaulting her, I don't know what he meant by assault. Was it an S assault, or was it just abusive assault? I don't know. But we called it a couple days ago that we were bringing Kada home to put her to rest. We kind of peeled the Band-Aid off because that's the only thing that made sense with the information we were provided. It wasn't that we were trying to be mean, but if people are out there searching, we wanted them um, to be realistic about the search. We knew she was gone. As soon as I heard homicide investigators were involved in this case, I knew she was gone because I knew that the only way that they would have been involved is if there was some type of evidence that brought them involved. And that was not, and I repeat, not good. Not good at all. And that's when I kind of knew that this was going to turn out bad and turn out bad very quickly. So long story short, let's finish this up and then we'll wrap up. We just got about 2 more minutes.
Dogs from New Jersey State Police coming to Philadelphia to help us in the search process. They don't know that, and so it's my job to make sure that I express that, so they know that this police department, we took this case serious. We take every case serious, but the work that's been done to again bring this to some.
I don't think they took the case seriously as they should have at first. I could be wrong about it, but it wasn't conveyed as serious as it should have been conveyed, in my opinion, because I didn't get that feeling. And we are all about watching behaviors of law enforcement to help gauge us with our theories and our speculation. We didn't have any information. This was not, I'm not going to beat up. I'm glad she's brought home, but, I don't think they really did take this as serious as they should have.
Conclusion. Is this the conclusion that we wanted? Absolutely not. But at this point now, we have to do everything in our power to ensure that we bring justice for this family and some level of closure. And so to answer that, no, it's understandable. Listen, that passion you need, because that's also the passion that helps you drive in the tips. That's the passion that gets you to have the support from the community and getting the information that we got. And so it's understandable.
Could we hear from the ADA as well?
Absolutely.
Once and if it is...
My heart breaks for her because, let's face it, she's an ADA. Many people don't realize she's out there. She's most likely previewed the scene. She was most likely previewing the scene as they were raising the victim out of the ground. These are tough jobs, okay? I just want to express that to everybody. Even her job. You guys think she has a cushy office? Not always. Not always. This lady right here has to look at some of the most grotesque things that you could ever imagine seeing a human being doing to another human being. It's not fair. It's not fair to our first responders. It's not fair to our prosecutors. It's not fair to our coroners. Think about all these people that have to do the things that would mortify us. Mortify us. So we have to remember that. And the reason why I like to bring this up is I like to humanize people, because it's so easy to be angry when people make mistakes. But when you realize that they're human beings, you kind of understand a little bit. Now, I'm still angry that this guy was out to hurt this young lady. He should have been in prison. He should have been in jail, It's hard for the activist and advocate in me not to bring up the obvious, that he shouldn't have been out on bail. It was a violent crime. We have got to start treating violent crimes like violent crime. If you don't want it around your infant child or grandchild, don't put it around somebody else's. These people are monsters. And when they don't have accountability, or they're not punished, and they don't, if they keep doing something that's horrible and they keep being let out to do that horrible something, they're going to continue to do that, right? So why wouldn't you hold these people accountable? Why? I don't understand. The people that are making these laws aren't living with these people. They have mansions in gated communities. We don't. We don't. This was a young lady that voted for the policies that put this man out of jail. She's a product of her own voting. You know? And it's sad because this man should never have been out to hurt her. Her family doesn't deserve this. The community doesn't deserve this. We need people to be tougher on crime. We need to end this cashless bail crap. We need to end this even providing bail for violent criminals. Violent criminals should not be getting bail. They should have to go to first appearance. And their case should have to be heard from a judge and asked for an actual bond when there is violence. I really think we need to start going to that, as hard as it's going to be. Because these people are getting out and terrorizing. Like this other lady, it sounds like, now I don't know this to be fact. I didn't speak to the lady, but it sounded like the press conference we heard yesterday, that it sounded like the DA felt like they did everything that they could have, but there should have been more done to help make that victim feel more protected. Predominantly the fact that this guy was walking out right behind her of court after accosting her, abusing her, kidnapping her, and strangling her. You got the freaking suspect walking out of courthouse right behind her. It's enough to terrify anyone. You don't want that happening to you again. But, what do you do? What do you do? You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You want to try to do things that are fair, especially to, people that are down on their luck or something. I understand the spirit of the laws. I understand the spirit, where the spirit was in these no bail, cashless bail type of scenarios. I understand the spirit. It just doesn't work, okay? Because criminals keep getting away with stuff. They're going to keep being criminals getting away with stuff. They're not going to be stopped, and because they know they can get away with it, right? And they know even if they get caught, they go to jail and they'll be back out before dinner. They know this. They know this. Look at all the stuff we went over earlier today in North Carolina. 15, 16 arrests. Stabbed 2 people, left them for dead, walked out by lunchtime. What? Do you really want that lady living next to you? It was a knife. Those are at every damn store. You don't even need a driver's license to buy a knife. She'll have you hacked up before breakfast. And even if they catch her, it doesn't really matter because they'll have her home before dinner. It's a disgusting cycle. I'm making fun of it, and I know I shouldn't, but it's a disgusting cycle. That must end. Must end. Let's listen to this gal.
Confirmed that this is Kada. What does this mean for King?
It means that we do our job. It means that we take everything that we know, we take everything that we found out today, we let the MEs do what they do, and then everything will come to us and we'll make the determination of whether we add additional charges.
And what would those additional charges be?
Like they just pulled her out of the ground. I don't understand how they expect. Obviously, if information comes, which it will, he's going to ultimately either get first or second degree murder. It really depends on the evidence, but it's going to be a murder charge.
Once we hear from the ME, I'll have a better answer on that. Obviously, we're like you said, we're going in order right now. We're on to the ME. They're going to do their investigation. As soon as we hear from them, it'll guide us in what we do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
One last question. So 10 a.m. you guys arrived here. At what time did you guys make the discovery of the remains? Is there an estimate?
They were in here too. Okay.
It was later in that, yeah. Earlier. Because when I say they were here, they were looking for, evidence and other things that would drive us directly where we need to be.
Okay. Okay.
So she was asking if you guys could hear that, what time after coming to the site did you guys actually find the remains? He needs DP. Of course he does. But we've got bigger fish to fry when it comes to this stuff, because at the end of the day, I mean, this is happening all over the country. These animals are being let out and they're wreaking havoc. Look at all all these cases just back to back where these people should have been in jail, and here we have a homicide because they were on the streets. I mean, I can't, I feel like a broken record, you know, I really do. I feel like a blessed broken record on this platform. You know, I feel like some days I'm hitting my head against the wall. Like, how can people not see this? How can people keep voting for this? Like, this is not healthy. This is not good. And you know what? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. She's gone, and the person that did this to her shouldn't even have been walking the streets once again. So that's kind of where we're at. And at the end of the day, it's just not fair. It's just not fair. She had every right to live her life. She had every right to get married, to have babies, to start her business. You know, it just, like, I already feel her mom's pain, you know, just the pain. It's just, for what? Because this asshole got rejected? You know, he shouldn't have been out. I'm so sick and tired of coming to this damn show, talking about these cases, and having to just like the babies, like the kids, our kids, every damn one of the kids that are murdered that we cover, they had child protective services in their family already, and they still lost their life. And here we got the majority of our suspects that murder these people that shouldn't even be out of jail, that are walking the streets with us. These animals. That's scary shit. That's scary. That's real damn scary. To think our law enforcement is putting these animals in our court system, is putting these animals back on the roads with us. And we keep wondering why crap like this keeps happening to our young, beautiful ladies that just want the all-American dream. It's not fair. It's not fair. Something's got to be done. I know it's not the people on this channel, but we've got to be more vocal. We've got to be more active. We've got to put an end to this nonsense. This is bad. This is bad. Over and over and over and over and over again. So hopefully you guys help me. We are on a mission. Our mission is to end the violence around this country. It's been our mission since we started this channel. I pray for the Scott family. And the worst part about this whole story is they shouldn't be going through this. I don't know how you make that make sense to any family. The family should not be going through this. And these people are having to explain to this family why they are. And they're having to explain to this family why they failed Kada and that community with these lawless laws and lack of actual crime fighting and keeping people, the basics of law enforcement, keep the bad guys in jail. That's the whole purpose. I don't want to see the people that are stealing candy bars in jail. I want to see them in work release. I want to see the violent criminals in jail. I definitely don't want to see them walking next to me. Anyways, I digress. You guys have a great night. Happy Saturday. Pass this live around. Hey, Luna, it's nice to see you. Mama Bear, good evening, good evening. Don't forget to hit that like. Don't forget to share it if you'd like to do. We did have a goal, but we're not going to be running the show very long because I just wanted to come here. I'm kind of upset about this information, and I just got back. As you guys can see, I'm freshly showered. I just got back from our, doggy daycare trip, our play date. Delilah's play date, which she enjoyed, and of course, but I'm just exhausted, and of course I'm eating a little sweet because, like I said, I can't seem to kick the sugar after kicking the vape, so I'm pretty sure I'll have clear lungs but diabetes. I had the choice, you know, lung cancer, diabetes, lung cancer, diabetes. I figured, what the hell? I'm going to hell anyways. Let's take both of them. No, I'm just I'm just joking. I'm joking. All right, guys, you guys rock it out with your coffee beans. Good gracious, I can't even speak this evening. I'm starting to get tired. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. Guys, thanks for coming over here. What a sad case. There was something about this case that drew me in. Again, I was really hopeful. This was just a 23-year-old that just needed a break. And clearly a monster got a hold of her, and this beautiful young lady's gone. And we knew this was happening. We knew this was going to happen. We've known for days. We've been covering this because we were just waiting for the moment that she was found. That's pretty much it. Now she's been found, and I don't know. I'm done talking about it. So you guys, I know. Oh, you know what? That's the problem. All these towns, they shouldn't be this crime-ridden. These places aren't doing their blessed job. They're lazy. I shouldn't say, that's mean. It's a broad brush to paint with, but they're underfunded. Therefore, they don't have the type of force that they need to enforce the laws that they should. They're not spending enough money. They're mismanaging these counties all to hell. Okay? That's the bottom line. They need Trump. You don't like it? Too bad. Clean up the streets. You want me to quit telling Trump needs to go to these areas because you don't like Trump? Fine. Clean up the streets then. Remove the crime, and I'll quit bitching about Trump needed going into these areas. You know, that's how you solve the problem. Get rid of the crime, have your law enforcement do their job, and I'll quit talking about Trump. How about that? There you go. I think that's fair. You clean up your street, I'll quit talking about Trump. But right now, I think Trump needs to be in Philly too. I think all these big cities, all these Democrat-ran cities need to be cleaned up. And I think the only person that knows how to clean them up is our federal government at this point. And trust me, I don't ever say that. But since I know most of our federal government, I'm going to say that for the first time in my lifetime. I don't know if I'm going to ever say that again after this 4 years, but we will find out. But right now, I do have a lot of trust in our federal government in cleaning this mess up, and I do hope that we get these counties clean. I think everybody deserves. I don't care if you're rich or poor. I think you deserve to live in safety. I think your family should be living in safety. I feel bad for the families that are in Chicago when they have to worry about their children walking down the street and wondering if their children are going to make it home at night. I can't imagine living in an environment like that. And these people don't even think twice about it because it's all they've ever known. I think that's so horrible and unfair. I really do. I think that's horrible and unfair. To think that people, because their only problem is being poor, deserve to be living with crime. You know who makes these kinds of decisions? Those hoity-toity bureaucrats that live behind gates, that make rules for the rest of us, that put us right in harm's way, while they get to pat themselves on the back and say, look what I did. I was so nice to that criminal. Well, yay. Never mind the 4 body bags that you now have to be nice to that criminal, right? Because the law-abiding citizens don't exist anymore in these Democrat-ran areas. All right, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. God bless you. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. I hope we get this stuff cleaned up one day. I hope we don't have any more Kadas or Gabbies or violence. You know, I'd love to live in an America that we can walk down the street again and love thy neighbor and not have to worry about 15 million, knives going in our back. I have a dream, folks. I have a dream where we all live under one world and we just love each other unconditionally, and we want everyone to thrive in harmony and victory. Okay? That's what we want. What do we want? We want world peace. That's all we want. We just want world peace. Why can't we have